All right, guys, here with episode 4 of the Tromello Brothers podcast, and we got a really special guest, Robert Bliss. He's actually a member of Precision CrossFit, been with us for 5 years now. He's the CEO of 2 companies, one very particular that's actually helped him be very successful. It's called Bliss Home Theaters and Automation, and he also is a photographer, which is actually a really rad story how he got into photography as well. And I think we're going to give you guys a pretty rad interview right now. Dan, I'll take it away.
Awesome. So we wanted to interview you for a little bit, Robert. What's your background? I know a lot of people, there's people like, why are you interviewing? Who is Robert Bliss in general? What's your background?
Give me your background. I was born in South America. Dad was in the Navy and met my mom, and we migrated here, for lack of a better word, and grew up in Oxnard. Probably just lower middle class back then, so not a lot of privileges in any way, shape, or form. Lived in a garage for 3 years while I was up to 4. Then they bought a house.
Really?
Yeah, so had my first paper route when I was 9. Had my second paper route. I got 2 when I was 10. So yeah, started working early and kind of enjoyed the harder you work, the more you reward kind of syndrome. So I kind of started early.
So you're doing paper routes back then?
2 paper routes.
What time did you wake up in the morning and do that at 9 years old?
Back then was 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that's
a
crazy.
9-year-old waking up at 5:30 a.m. Tell my 6-year-old to wake up at 5:30
in the rain on your bike.
He's
Doesn't make a difference.
You.
yeah, a little different story compared to then and now. So you hear your parents always say, "I walk to school in snow." You know,
yes.
So here I am doing the same kind of
5:30 a.m. for a paper route. I did not walk to school.
Yeah, you got it easy. I had to do this, but yeah, believe it or not, then after that started a curb painting business where I got a stencil and paint and knocked on people's door and said, "You want your numbers on your curb?" And then after that, got into the thing I really like to do because my father owned a hi-fi stereo store, and I started doing car stereo installation. So from 12 to 16, I was putting in major sound systems in people's cars. My love for music kind of, propelled that.
From that.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sub-average student. I was okay. Played a lot in school. I mean, as far as, that kind of story goes. Went to Moore Park College for 2 years, did okay. Got into Arizona State, lasted a semester before I got kicked out. Lit a dorm room on fire.
I love it.
And then that was it. My parents said, we're not going to support you anymore going to college, so you're on your own. And scrambled, got a job at Coors Beer. I drove a beer truck. A guy lied for me and got me in. I've never driven a semi in my life. Learned quick, hit a couple light poles and parking lots and stuff like that. But yeah, I learned really quick. But talk about miserable. It was truly a miserable job. Middle of summer, 110 degrees.
You're in Arizona?
No, that was here. That was in Northridge, California. So,
the valley.
But the good news is it teaches you how every time you threw down a case of beer that you earned 10 cents, So you had a 1-to-1 ratio of what value of money is or work is,
Yeah.
But that's where the problems began because my brother and all my best friends were doing much better than I was. So I started leaning on credit cards, and I went on, bought a fancy BMW, and literally went to Ben Bridge and made a payment on a Rolex watch.
No way.
So I was leveraged to the hill. That was between 24 and 27 was rock bottom. 27, I was so leveraged in credit card debt. But what put me over the edge was the job itself. I couldn't do it anymore. The people who owned the company were just...
This was the beer.
This is the beer company, yeah. So I quit, scrambled. I mean, I had a lot of debt and started doing a bunch of different jobs, from driving limousines to working Nordstrom selling clothes to
You're hustling.
Yeah, hustling, doing anything I could. But it caught up to me, and eventually I had to go bankrupt. So literally the low point was when he came knocking on my door, and they had the flatbed truck with the yellow light spinning, and they had repossessed my car.
Repo.
So there goes that fancy BMW on the back of that car.
No way.
And my brother calling me every single bad word in the planet.
How old were you?
That was 27.
Wow.
And George called me every single bad word in the planet.
Just pissed off at you.
Yeah, just, and he was doing really well.
Too,
yeah, he was an executive at Disney. He was doing really well, and all my friends were doing well. And here I am, this, loser at that point. So lost everything. And then a friend of mine started a nightclub in Santa Barbara. And since I had knowledge of building sound systems, I put in the whole entire disco system for him.
Wow.
Got a job there and ended up sleeping in his basement for 2 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
This is
I worked inside, ran the nightclub as far as a manager and bartended at night for 2 years. The good news about that, it was a cash business. I had nothing. I mean, I bought a car, bought a Ford Festiva for $1,000 and paid everybody back. Friends that I borrowed money from, because I didn't want to make, I mean, creditors were one thing, but my friends, I wanted to make sure. I paid all my friends back. Right. And then within 2 years, I literally saved about $35,000 after I paid everybody off.
Which is a lot.
Which is a shit ton. Back then, that's
a lot of savings.
Yeah, that was a lot of money back then. So that was enough to propel me to get out of there and started back in the car audio business. And the place I worked at, car stereo then was a much slower business. But they sold big TVs and surround sound systems, and they didn't know how to hook it up. And I'm like,
I got this.
I don't need to crawl underneath the dashboard. I can hook this up. So the pinnacle day, I'll never forget this. I had to move back into my parents' house at 28 years old, which was a big gulp.
Right. For the moment.
Yeah, for the moment.
Right.
So my parents' next door neighbor found out I was working in this high-end stereo store, and he goes, I want one of those systems. I'm like, all right, well, I can do that. So I went to my boss I was working for. I go, listen, I sold this next door neighbor a full system. He goes, nobody's ever going to buy a TV they've never seen or a speaker they haven't heard. I go, I tend to differ.
What year was this?
This was 1993.
Okay.
And working for a big company in the Valley called the Sound Factor. And I went to my neighbor, his name was Todd, and I got a deposit check for $20,000 back then. The whole system came out to $40,000.
Oh.
And the most expensive ticket they ever wrote in the Sound Factor in 20 some odd year history was $60,000. So here I am, 2/3 of their biggest sell, and a kid, wrote my boss the check. He never met the client. Everything went in flawlessly, and there we go. So there was literally a first custom home theater kind of scenario installed. Yeah. So
wow.
I started doing that on the side. I printed a business card, and when people bought stuff at the Sound Factor, and when I'm carrying the stuff out to them, if you need somebody to hook it up, here's my card. Boss found out, and he said, you got two choices. You work for yourself or you work for me.
Right.
And I go, all I got to do is find 8 hours of work a week, and I make more money than I do working for you. So I said, see ya. And he goes, you're going to fail. It took 2 years, I'll never forget it, to get my first solid job. I worked 6 months nonstop. Bought a truck, put the logos on it, went to all the trainings I could possibly do. It was slow. I worked even harder, found something to do. Then we landed a good job, and that good job led to the next door neighbor. We actually did 6 homes in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Poured them out.
And the 6th home said, I don't care what it is. I want the biggest system out of all 5 of them. Just put it in. And I thought I had paid her. I thought this is it. How does it get any bigger than this? It was a $200,000 system in 1998.
Wow.
And I thought this is it. And had enough. My mentality at that point was cash only.
Yeah.
Move back into my home that I had to move out of.
You think because you were so over leveraged with credit and everything, you're like, I don't want to go back
ever.
to that story ever again. I'm going on.
Daniel, I literally had nightmares of the phone ringing because I got anxiety. Because back then you had a phone, and it was a creditor saying, hey, and I literally was anxious about it. So I said, nobody is ever going to be able to take my car away from me.
Never.
I'll drive a $1,000 car, but you'll never be able to take it away from me.
I understand that.
So everything was cash, and landed that big job, and then I actually went out and bought a BMW cash.
Right.
So
well, you should have bought it the
first time. Yeah. So I knew there was a potential to build this business, to do a custom home theater business, and that's what it was. It was custom home theaters for the first 8 years.
Right.
And then hard work, and bottom line, it's all it was hard work. Hard work, ethic. I was very ethical. I never charged anybody a dime more than they should be charged, and it was. I have a saying, under promise, over deliver. And that, it's all about a referral. It's all about how do I get my name out to the next person, so.
Right.
And that led to a phone call from a magazine and said, we want to feature one of your jobs. And I was on the cover of a magazine within 4 years.
And then the late 90s, that's a big deal.
Big deal. Magazine was huge.
Before social media.
Oh, that was exactly.
And just on a footnote, if you ever seen Bliss's work, it's unbelievable. He posts pictures on Instagram and Facebook. he works with he can't tell you the people he's worked with and done their systems for, and like home theaters and some of the wealthiest people literally in the world. He told me about
21 billionaires.
21 billionaires that he's done systems for. He started from, that's what I love about your story, is he's starting from literally from the bottom.
Yes. Well, that's why we brought him on the show.
And
so we're talking about
over
this.
to and just climbing that ladder, like you said, ethically the right way. If you kind of took your
and appreciating every success along the way, not taking it for granted.
Right.
And we got this phone call. It turned out to be the magazine. We got posted. We got the cover.
Right.
So the girl who worked at the magazine says, "Hey, there's a client who's very unhappy with his installer, and we want to give him your phone number. Do you mind?" I go, "Of course." So basically, the top integrator in Southern California did the job. Everybody knew who this company was. I'm not going to mention the name, but they were the top guys. So we walked in there. It was $1 million system.
Whoa.
$1 million system, and nothing worked.
Huh.
And they said, if you can get it to work, we have a project that we're going to build in Telluride, Colorado.
Of course you got it.
You'll have an option. So we literally got it to work within 2 weeks. And he goes, "You guys are hired."
That's right.
Fast forward 2005, we finished a project that we started in 2001, and that project came out to $6.3 million.
Wow.
For one
4
house.
years.
Yeah.
A 4-year project.
4-year project, actually 5-year project, and came out to $6.3 million. And that put us on the map. That said, these guys know what they're doing. And, it's like writing a song, you can have a one-hit wonder, but if you're the Rolling Stones, you're truly a Hall of Fame band. You backed it up, we won, a big award, and, hey, new kid on the block, they got lucky, but we won it the second time. People took notice, no luck anymore. And we ended up winning that award 7 times.
Wow.
And if there is an Academy Award of what we do, for Best Picture, we won that twice.
Wow.
So best of the best twice.
No, fast forward too. Doesn't your brother work with you now?
Yeah, my brother, who called me every name in the book in 2000, saw me buying, this and that, and things are going well. And he goes, "Hey, do you got room for me?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So, he became my 50% partner. But honestly, I'm gonna have to give him credit. We would not be sitting where we were at without him, because he has the computer skills that I don't have. I have the creative side, I can design the stuff, but he has the technological side that I really don't have, and a tenacity that's just unrelenting. It's just a man. Again, you got it. The thing about the home theater business, if you're a mason, your tile could be 99% good and nobody's going to bitch.
Okay.
But if I give you a remote control, 9 out of 10 buttons work, guess what? You're going to get a phone call on your system. So we're in 100% business, which is really difficult. So
there's so much to be said about that, and that's in all business. Like I feel like so many, and I go back to the fitness realm. That's my background. There's so many coaches I've met over the years. They have these massive egos, and they get super fired up if somebody else coaches their athlete or talks to their athlete, or in the gym, why am I not programming for everybody? And they have to realize that it takes a great gym or a great company is run by not just one person at the top, multiple people, or that person at the top can trust, and all do their job well. And if everyone does their job well, then that's gonna be a very successful place.
Right, it's creating a team effort.
It's about a team effort.
Could not agree more.
Yeah.
And you look at that mantra goes to any of the most successul companies in the world. They have the talent underneath them. So.
And I feel like we have that here. And I've
look at me. I mean, this just go to CrossFit. I met you guys day one. Katie was my coach. My wife hired me. Got me a membership because all these super handsome guys were running in front of our shop, and she's like, I was grossly out of shape, and she goes, "I just signed you up," and I walked in there, looked like Cirque du Soleil. You guys doing muscle up, walking on your hands. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't do that. I sat in the parking lot for the first week with a pit in my stomach. I remember puking doing it. Remember we had to run the trash can?
I remember
back
the
at 200
trash
meter?
can,
I think I puked 4 times in the first month.
Yeah.
And, following what you guys tell me to do, 7 years later doing CrossFit.
What was your fitness like as you're building your company, as you're just growing? Like, were you always a healthy person working out?
I was naturally thin, skinny my whole life. But when I started the business, and when I really started going in 2000, when we hit that big job and we're in Colorado and Hawaii and doing all these jobs, fitness went out the window. We were working on average 12-hour days. We had a massive project in Lanai that we were pulling 14-hour days.
So you're not working out. You're just working.
And you're doing anything for food. You're just putting
anything
calories
you
in.
can get in.
So that was pretty much rock bottom. Was about fitness wise, 2000.
Right. You
Of course,
sacrificed.
you sacrificed. Yeah.
Oh, major in a
Yeah.
big way.
But now you're fit as hell.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but I'm trying to,
Pretty fit. Well, golf goes back and forth with
I want to be you guys one day.
You told me a story that I'll never forget. It was a client locally. I'm not going to use his name. You could use his name if you wanted to, where you showed up late to the job.
Great story.
And I'll never forget this story because I think about it all the time in my business. Like I always want to be on time, but I want you to kind of talk about the story real quick because it hit me hard.
You know, it's one of those. I think everybody's going to have events in their lives that change their course. You know, you could be going down a road and am I going to go left or am I going to go right? And there's a few of those. And if you realize those, they can be game changers. So we got our first billionaire in 1998, David Murdoch from Dole Pineapple. We get the phone call to redo their system that the previous guy botched. He literally lives 10 minutes away from me, and the meeting was at 9 a.m. So I left my house at 9 o'clock, and I got to his house at 9:10.
Right.
And the, for lack of a better word, assistant, who's been with him for 35 years, his whole life, said, "Mr. Murdoch, we'll see you in a couple minutes." I'm like, okay. So he sat me down, trembling, and
And he's the first billionaire.
our first billionaire. This is 1998. Yeah, and I showed up late. I didn't, and you're sitting in this home. I mean, the home's valued at $85 million,
And this
back
is
then.
1998.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in this house and just kind of, and so he comes out and he's tiny. I've never met him before. He's a tiny man.
Oh.
And he sits down and he goes, "So you're the guy who's supposed to fix all this." I'm like, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Let me ask you a question." I'm like, "Sure." He goes, "How much do you make a year?" I go, "How much do I make a year?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, things are starting to go good. I don't know, 50,000 a year." He goes, "How much do you think I make a year?" I go, "I have no idea." I go, 10 million. He goes, "Hundreds of millions
A year.
a year." I go, "So when you think your time is worth more than mine, then you can be late."
That's what he said, dude.
And I thought I was fired. I literally started trembling. I go, "How am I going to tell my brother that I blew this?" I'm literally I was almost in tears. I go, "I tell you what, I screwed up, and here's how I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to do all the work for no charge. And if I fix it, you pay me. If I don't fix it, I walk out the door." He
Is that
goes,
what you said to him?
"That's what I told him."
Wow. So millionaire.
Yeah.
Billionaire.
Yeah. I go, I want this opportunity to prove myself. I'm going to redeem it, and I'm going to do this. And I go, "Here's a guy who couldn't fix it, and I'm going to fix it. If I can't do it, you don't see me again." He goes,
Wow.
"Deal." I am the only sub that has worked for him for the last 24 years.
Wow.
Everybody else has been fired. So I am still like this with him. He'll take credit for our success.
He's giving you a lot of business.
Yeah. I mean, it's my fair share, but he's, but that is a story that you're absolutely right, Daniel. That
I love that story because I was reading this book called Relentless. Who's the author again?
Tim Grover.
Yeah, Tim Grover, and he talks about like 3 different types of people, like cleaners, coolers, and closers. And
cleaners, coolers, and closers.
Yes, if you ever read the
Cleaner is
cleaner mentality
top level.
is top level, right? Like someone who's extremely successful. And one of the things he says that cleaners do is when they're wrong, they admit it first. They don't make an excuse. They don't go and they say, they don't go, "Oh, well, that's why there's traffic or my kids or whatever." Right. They walk in and then somebody goes, "You're late," and they go, "Yeah, I'm late."
They own it.
They own it.
Yep.
You did a cleaner thing. You owned it and you said, "I'm going to own it. And here's what I'm going to do to fix it, and let's go."
I mean, I have a couple mentors I talk to a lot about excuses, and they always tell me the same thing. They say excuses, no matter how valid, are still an excuse, and they only weaken your character when you speak it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people, like through their life, they speak excuses out loud. What I'm going to eat for a diet, or I'm not going to go to the gym, or I'm not going to start this business idea I have, whatever it is. More excuses they make, only weaken your character. Yeah. And I always think about that as
I'm walking away from this, learning something, and I totally agree with that, and it's so easy for everybody to want nice things or be in shape, but they're rather sit in front of a TV eating, ho-hos and just like, they're not really to go commit or own it, and that's the difference.
Yeah, something else you said to me that resonated me on your story was that I never heard your story before. It's freaking rad. I mean, we've talked lots of times. I've never heard the whole story, but something else you said to me that really resonated with me. I had a very similar deal. You talked about your brother telling you in the story that if you work 8 hours a day, you'll be good, right? You'll make the money. I had a very, very similar conversation with my best friend, Travis. I was really upset at my former job, and I wasn't happy there. And I was like, I gotta get out of here just for my own health and anxiety. It just wasn't going well. Yeah. And I'm like, but owning a CrossFit gym, I own a gym that's successful, but it doesn't necessarily pay me enough money to live in Southern California with just that amount of income. So I have to make income from personal training, my online programming, and it all. And I had to become essentially a fitness personality over the last 2 years to make the kind of money I want to have to keep my family a very successful, comfortable life, right? And so my buddy goes, well, how much do you make a year at Harvard Westlake? And I give him a number. And he goes, well, how much do you make after taxes? I give him a number. He goes, he does some math on his phone. He's like, bro, you need to work 2 hours a day.
Right.
You need to work 2 hours a day as a personal trainer. That's all you gotta do. Your personal training rate, 2 hours a day. That's it. And I go, what do you mean? He's like, blah, 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 2 hours a day. So you got to work 5 to 10 hours a week as a personal trainer to just make what you're making at Harvard Westlake. That's not including what the gym pays you.
Correct.
That's not including what you're making on the side of the program. That's just personal training.
Here's the thing that, too, with most employees have, as they go into employee, and you understand this, and if you've ever read Robert Kiyosaki, you understand what I'm talking about, is most employees think time equals money. So I have to work this amount of time to make this amount of money.
They do.
And if I can't work this amount of time, I don't make this much money. And then he talks about the other, so that's about 95% of the population is what we call an employee or self-employed.
Yeah.
So the self-employed person, they'll spend 90 hours a week to avoid working for somebody else, which is kind of where you ended up in the, as you're, building your company. Yeah. Once you get the business ownership side, and you have people working for you, time is not equal money. Money is now exponential. Because you can do a job that pays you $3 million or $1 million.
Yeah.
That might take you.
You don't realize it though.
It's not a time. But growing up, you're taught a couple things: go to school, get a job, work your time, put in your time, and then you'll get taken care of by companies, which we know doesn't happen necessarily.
Not anymore, especially. But back in the day, there was a chance of that, with no pensions or anything anymore. Yeah. But it's like if you make $25 an hour, I can tell you, you're going to make $50,000. If you've got some overtime, 55.
Right.
But if you look at a car salesman, for an example, I know it's probably a bad analogy, but the contract that I fill out is the same exact contract you fill out when you buy a Hyundai or a Ferrari. Mm-hmm. Same exact contract, same amount of work, but this guy made $300 and this guy made $30,000.
Right.
How do you maximize your efforts? That's what you got to look at. Right. Even in my business, it takes just as long to install a $100 speaker as it does a $10,000 speaker. Right. Well, I'd rather deal with one client
doing $10,000
and give him 105% service instead of 10 clients and giving them 99% service.
So true. That's a great point. And like I said, afterwards, I quit my job just like you did. I quit just like you did. I was like, I'm out. It was like 2 weeks later, I was gone.
No, I remember that day.
And I was like, because he gave me such a good point, just like your brother gave me such a good point. It's like, I'm out. And you're 100% correct about the time per hour and the money, like installing one thing versus the other. I totally get that in my industry as well.
Right.
I'd rather train 4 clients at $150 an hour than 10 clients at $50 an hour.
And for us to truly get wealthy is us to sit here, have this conversation. We have some type of revenue generating stream going on. That's how you really get wealthy. It's not that, I do this amount of work to get X amount of pay. It's like I do X amount of concept or idea or planning to get, and the problem is everybody now is instant gratification.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, it's like getting in shape. You're not going to get in shape in one day.
No.
7 years later, and I'm in the best shape of my life, but 7 years later, investing is what you need to do.
Well, there was some bumps along the way, even like last year.
I took out 4.5 months.
4.5 month hiatus. For what? What were you doing?
I got injured.
Well, no, what else were you doing?
Oh, no, but I was working. No. Okay, so when that happened, I enrolled myself into college, and I started learning a new trade.
So,
and not only that, this is where, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off right now by saying this, I am not a millennial fan. Because I'm the only guy in that class who does not need to make a dime in college.
Right.
And there's 30 between 22 and 30-year-old students in that class, and I am working 3 times harder than the hardest worker.
Because you don't know how to not work hard. Though. Yeah. I feel like if I went back to college right now and to get a PhD, because I have a master's degree, I feel like if I went back, I feel like I would work just as hard to get my PhD, probably harder as I did with my master's and my.
I promise you, you work harder.
No. Just because that's who I am.
Let me ask you a question now. Let me ask you a question because growing up, let's say, rewind back to when you're 22. Because I am millennial fan. So here's what I'll say.
I'm not a millennial.
Go back to when you're 22 and go back to, let's say you're back in school you didn't know what it took really to work hard yet. Would you agree that like some people?
No,
like,
bullshit. I was doing a paper route. I was painting curves.
So
I knew exactly what it took to work hard.
Student?
Well,
No. I was an average student. I mean, okay, I think you needed a 2.0 to get out of school. I got a 2.2.
That's this guy right here.
I mean, just like
oh man. So speaking of like, I mean, it's funny how he talks and how I talk. Because growing up, I was the kid that hustled. We talked about on our first podcast. I hustled. I umpired. I rep basketball games.
Yeah, he's always working.
I worked at a park and rec as the park and rec director of like sports performance.
Yeah.
Like little kids. I bartended on weekends. I had like 4 or 5 jobs at one point. I worked for my dad during the week, and on summers, like I always had a job. I always worked my ass off and hustled, and I studied, and I was an A student. Daniel barely worked.
I worked,
but he was an athlete. Daniel was like, no, there's a different kind of work. I worked and I trained. You worked out to be the best you could possibly be at your sport. So I'm saying there's different kinds of work ethic, right? And I used to tell my dad freaking crazy because he wasn't like me in that regards, work ethic wise. My dad saw me hustling. He didn't see the amount of hours Daniel was spending on a speed ladder, or we're gonna have a jump rope or doing sprints, and really working on being a great athlete. And there's so many great athletes out there that I've seen over the years as a coach and as a football coach, et cetera, that are so freaking talented, but will not work.
Yeah.
And so there's different kinds of work ethic.
I could not agree with you more.
Well, like too, I think the Sue, what you've done and you created. I mean, I know you're worth in the millions. I know that. Like you're a successful person. Like, and I think, but the part about that is, I think it's not the money. It's not the money. I think it's the amount of work ethic it took to get there. And as if I looked at you and just watching you, just knowing you for a short period of time, you've always talked about the work.
Yes,
like,
always.
He's always said, you always said, put in the work. I put in the work. I put in the work.
There's no downside to hard work, zero. And I don't care if you're, if money motivates you, no downside to hard work. If physical fitness motivates you, no downside. So the people who work the hardest succeed the most. And there might be an unfair advantage. I can work out every day and try to sprint as fast as Usain Bolt. It's never going to happen. There's a different physical advantage, and okay, I agree with that. But it still doesn't take away from putting in the work. Okay.
But let me ask you a question too. Is because a lot of people, how do you put in the work? So like when you started your business, how were you putting in the work? Because I know people say hard work. Okay, what did it take? Like applicable. Like this is what you were doing.
All right. So going back to those things in life that change your life. Okay. Another billionaire client, and another conversation, and I asked how he got to where he got.
So you asked the question.
I asked the question. I go, how did you become this?
Yes.
And it was so simple. At the same time, I wanted to be more complicated, but it was that simple. He goes, 3 words: make good decisions. Everything you do. When you drive down, I'm going to get lunch. I can go get a cheeseburger and fry, or I can go get a salad and make everything is a decision. Not making a decision is a decision. Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many people want to stick their head in the sand when it comes time to make a decision.
It's very true.
I mean, that's why you got to do your job. I mean, my wife, I hired Daniel to be her financial advisor because she doesn't want to make these decisions, and she sticks her head in the sand. I go, okay, if you don't want to make decisions, we're going to make somebody coach you to help you make those decisions. If you just give him the money and let him do what he does best, okay? But making decisions for a lot of people create anxiety. They don't want it, but everything's a decision. And you can start at the bottom of Apple, be in the mailroom, make good decisions, do a good job, you get promoted. You'd be surprised, the higher you go up the ladder in corporate America, the less work you do, and the more decision making you do.
Never looked at it like that.
All they do is what do you think about this, Mike? Yes or no. If you make good decisions, start making some bad ones, parachute, because you're gone.
When you're at the top of a company, it's your job to grow the company.
Absolutely.
So it's your job to grow the company. So the people that have the most experience, and here's what happens too. This is what I think is so important: is most people are so focused on the goal, right? I want to run $1 million company. Like, and it's not the goal. It's almost like when somebody that shouldn't acquire a lot of wealth acquires a lot of wealth,
they blow it up.
They blow it. The reason why it's not the goal is who you become by getting that goal. Like the person you are right now, sitting next to us, is 25 years, 30 years of work.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't Robert Bliss at 27, 28 at his lowest low. That going bankrupt is exactly. Do you think it's exactly what you needed?
Without
to be where you are.
No, you nailed it on the head. That was a life lesson, and you're gonna have. And if you don't learn from your mistakes, I learn more from my failures than I do my successes.
I'd say that's all my athletes. You learn more from failure than success.
Yeah.
If you want to go to CrossFit Games and you didn't make it, what did you learn and why? What can you do to better yourself next year?
You just showed Aaron. I mean,
Yeah.
30 minutes ago, here's where where you feel that. Here's where you're going to do it.
Yeah. And Aaron, we're talking about the open guys, and Aaron one of my better athletes just did almost 13 rounds on 0.1. And afterwards, he was just standing there like not even tired. And he's like, how could I go faster? And we talked about how he could go faster, and he was almost perfect. But there's always room for improvement. So.
Yeah, so I think if you look at life itself, I think a lot of people do complicate it, with whatever types of things, whether it be drama or necessary excuses or just a willing to work, because it's, who doesn't want to sleep in on a Sunday morning and eat waffles and whatever, instead of waking up at a cold gym and, it's freezing in here and you're
going to so bad. I got to get in there.
But once you're here and you get going, and the only reason for me, a big component for me is I need people.
Yeah.
I am not good by myself, believe it or not.
Do you find the same skills you took to work as hard in business were easy to transfer when you started something like CrossFit that's as challenging as it is?
This is going to be a funny answer.
Okay,
yes and no, because yes, to a certain point, when I got to start doing CrossFit, that actually changed my work mentality too, because there are things.
I love this.
Because I'll sit there and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a grind. This is not going to be easy, but I'm just going to chip at it. Just one step at a time, no cutting corners, no reps. Yeah. I'm just going to get this done, And believe it or not, that CrossFit mentality has increase my success level.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
No, without a doubt. That is a true story. And and I think having people, inspirational people, because what's great about CrossFit or anything, you can have a gauge when you're running or racing or doing whatever. You know where you are, and you can look over and okay, I'm in pain, but that guy's there, but I'm still in this.
Right.
I can still go. And I think if you apply that to work, whatever you want to do. Now, one thing we've completely bypassed is crucial. My success is parallel to doing things that I love to do. My new jobs are great. Because I went back into the business that I love to do, car audio. So I really, and I'm not gonna say I don't go to work, but I don't go like, oh shit, I gotta go to my job today. I'm like, I gotta go build this today.
Right.
This is what we're working on. And you know what? And you guys probably don't realize this, I'm gonna tell you that, but when you guys, I'm in here, I'm struggling, you guys walk up and you go, hey, you did good. You have no idea how far that goes with me. It's truly, that's all I need is a good job, and when I build something for my clients and I got a billionaire walking in saying, or writing me a letter or something like that going, you did from one of the most respected people in the world coming to me saying, you knocked it out of the park.
You know what? I definitely want to touch on that a little bit, and that's a really great point, because a lot of people look at me and my brother. I talk about this. I confide in my brother a lot about this, and they go, I never get told that often. Hey, Mike, thank you for coaching me. That was an amazing job you did. I really appreciate you. But when they do, I'll give you an example. Chelsea Grigsby at Waterpalooza comes up to me. We're in the middle of it's a Saturday, in the middle of a workout, and she comes up to me. She hands me a brand new jump rope. She goes, thank you so much for being here and for coaching me and for the last year. I just really appreciate you. And I was like, that was awesome. Like, that was the coolest. It made me feel so
better than a paycheck.
Good. Better than a paycheck. It made me feel so good that day.
Right.
And I was like, God, man, I wish more people would say thank you. But at the same time,
you are working with athletes who have the biggest egos.
I am. And at the same time, though,
they're not thinking about it.
I read that book about going. It's funny how today we're going back to that different Grover, but I read that book about cleaners, and one of the things he says about cleaners is they don't get thanked. It's not. They're so good at what they do, and they know that they're good at what they do. They don't always get thanked.
It's almost the opposite, Mike. It's almost the opposite because people now want to find a flaw or want to bring you down because you are now the benchmark. Mm-hmm. And
and they don't. They find negative. They're trying to.
If you find the right people, they're going to promote you. They're going to push you. How do I get you to the next level? What can I do to help? Yep. The ones who don't want to see your success
are the ones that come at you all the time.
Yep.
And that's why he says cleaners always hang out with cleaners.
Yep.
And I was like, that's an amazing. That's so true, because I find like my best friends are very similar personality to me, and they will my best friends will make fun of me all damn day and never talk about anything I do, but that's why I love them.
Right.
Because they are my friends.
Yeah, I mean, that's, your friends growing up are always going to be that.
And yeah. So it's a really interesting thing though to talk about that though, and like thankful and I find like the best athletes I coach are the ones that are the most genuine and
appreciate
grateful.
Yeah.
Truly grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm truly grateful. And I've told you guys, I hope I've told you my fair share of time,
yes,
but
you totally have. No.
But you know, it really is inspiring, you know. And for me, I'm old enough, I've learned enough, I'm not out to make more friends. I'm who I am.
Yes,
you know, I've discovered who I am. And I mean, there's a couple things. I like compliments. I am compliment
driven. It's nice
driven.
to be complimented.
You know, and I work hard for compliments.
You do.
And so when I go and take pictures, and you know, there's 30 students. You know, their work's showing up on this big projector. There's nowhere to hide. It's not like, you know, you can cram this test. You got to put the work in, or And man, there's a couple times I'm watching kids work, and I'm sleeping in my chair going, "Oh shit!" You know. And then when the teacher goes, "All right, this is it." Guess what? The next assignment I try even harder because that's what I got to match.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that hanging out with, to Michael's point, with the right people that promote you, that, you know, originally my brother was not my fan. You know, he's like, "You're gonna fail. You know, you're a loser," and everybody laughed at me. The owner of the company that I worked at said, "You will fail." And guess what? When that magazine came out, I was on the cover. I just simply put it in a manila envelope. Nothing more. Didn't write a note or anything. That's it. Just sent it to him.
You know, we have so much in common. And I signed my first pro contract. I sent it to my high school football coach to make sure he understood how much he had motivated me to be this good.
I think people forget.
He can know who he is.
I think when it comes to like people that are really driven, almost everyone has a chip on their shoulder. Like something like put a chip on your shoulder too. That like, I mean, subconsciously, like you're working really hard, but you're like, man, when this happens, if it, you know, you have this moment of like you almost think of it into existence. Like I'm gonna do this. Like that was premeditated. I feel like you knew it was eventually gonna happen, and you're gonna like, well, I can't wait.
Oh yeah, we
all need fuel. Sometimes frustration is a fertilizer. I always tell people frustration is a fertilizer for success in life.
And my chip on my shoulder was my insecurities. You know, I was an insecure person, you know, and as soon as I said, you know what, everybody else is just as insecure as I am. And I realized, then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I'm out to do the best that I can do.
Right.
I got to make, if you're not happy, genuine on the inside, I don't care. You're not going to make anybody else happy.
Yeah. One of the things you also said too is one great job led to another great job, led to another great job. If you're doing a good job and working your ass off, it's going to lead to just so many different avenues to be successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think too, what frustrates you about the millennial generation is they want Murdoch job one.
You know, I don't honestly.
There's another good story.
There's a stepping stone, right?
There's another good story. So we're interviewing a guy. We need a tech. In my industry, it's hard to find techs. And he comes in, and I go, all right, so what are you looking to do? He goes, I want your job. You got no experience, and you're saying you want to come in and learn. You want to.
It's admirable.
You just said that, you know.
I want your job.
Yeah, I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to do
You know, it's funny though. I don't know necessarily if it's all millennial, like because the millennial generation.
And that was a blanket statement.
I know. I'm just saying, like, but just so we don't piss anybody off, but we are pissing some. That's fine. I love doing that because I'm good at pissing people off. But anyway, going to millennial versus, it's not necessarily the millennials anymore. I think we're all starting to group the millennials up with a generation underneath the millennial. I can't remember what it's called right now. But there's a whole other generation that's between like a certain age and like 26, 27. It's not the millennial.
Gen X and Gen Y.
The millennial actually is not so bad. It's that generation.
And you're absolutely right.
That's bad. You're seeing that send them on to college, and it's the XYs. It's not the millennial. And we say millennial because that's whatever's below us, but it's not. It's the XYs. I mean,
here's the thing. No matter what, the one thing that will never change is hard work, like you said. It doesn't matter. So I don't care what generation is what. People who work the hardest will get to the top, whatever they're doing.
But we've created. You understand something? I see it all the time now because I have kids in elementary school. We create that I want it now, and I don't have to work hard to get this, and everyone should get an award. Bullshit. And with my own kid, like he says he wants an award, or he says he earned something, or her. I go, did you actually earn that? And one thing I'll say I really like about their elementary school right now is my son got an award a couple of months ago for being, you know, one of the better students in class. And the teacher gets up in front of all the kids and all the parents, and there's about, you know, 120 kids total because there's 3 classes, and goes, only 7 kids are going to get an award today. these 7 kids earned this award.
Yeah.
If you want an award, do better and get it next semester. And I was like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Earn it. You have to earn that award. Not everyone's getting a medal today, no, guys. Just 7 people are going to get a medal out of 120 of you. And that shows them that they have to work. And you look at other generations, I feel like everyone got the medal. I don't think everyone should get the participation award. I'm sorry. You get the award if you earned it and you were the best. It is what it is.
But, you know, I don't want to segue here, but I think that, forget the millennial, the generation, there is more opportunity today. And people say, all the wealth has been, you know, established. It's so hard to find a good job. Bullshit. There's so many more opportunities today than there's ever been.
Yeah.
So if you're a hard worker, the tools, the resources, the opportunities you have today are more than ever.
Yes. Ash said that.
So one thing one of my instructors told me, which is another one of those moments like, really, think about it, you know, 30 kids in a class, 29 of them are going to work for one of the guys.
So
is that right?
I've heard that before. I've heard that.
So out of the 30 kids, one guy is going to be the leader, and the other 29 are going to be the guy that they work for.
I've said that.
You look like you see all these, you know, these Elon Musk of the world. I mean, I know that's an exaggerated example, but they are the ones who. And you know, going back to the failure part, I think you got to swing a bat. You got to take a risk. You know, I've had failures. You know, I've made some investments that didn't pan out. I opened one mill shop that made me money, opened up. I go, one made me money. The second one's going to make it. It was an epic fail. You can't stop there, you know. Right. So, you got to put out a little bit of risk, because if you don't, I don't think you're going to move the bar at all. You're not going to progress forward. You got to take some chances too. And, you know, when you take some chances, you get exposed a little bit. Never, ever expose yourself more than you can lose. You know, it's like making a bet if you do gamble. But, you know, I think you need to do that. Now, here's another thing. I always invest in myself, because I know there's no excuses. I mean, if there is an excuse, I can just look at myself.
Yeah.
You know? And if I invest in myself, I just got to put in the work. I got to get this done.
That's such a great point. I always bet on me too. I always say that. I always bet on me. Too. My brother, when I was leaving Hard West, I said it. He's like, if you're the one that's going to be the one in charge of you, and you're going to be the one to start your own fate, bro, you're going to do great. You always bet on yourself. Yeah. Like, that's just who you are. I've always been like that with everything I've ever done. What drives me crazy is when I need somebody to do, or no, it's that somebody, and this is a cleaner mentality, somebody will not do it as well as me when I hire them, but I hired them to do that job. That's what drives me crazy.
I mean, you got to understand though, that's kind of the trait of an employee in a way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, in a lot of areas, right? Employees, I was sort of saying about having a job. There's nothing wrong with having a job, but most people work just hard enough to not get fired. The employer is going to pay them just enough so they don't quit. And there's like this weird tension from both sides. And there's a kind of, it just kind of breeds mediocrity in a way.
Without a doubt.
Society. And
without a doubt.
So but the companies that take care of the people the most, like the Googles out there, you all hear about that stuff. People, they get people working at the highest capacity as employees because maybe there's stock options there. Maybe
the reward incentives
that
make them push. Not everybody's going to get rewarded, but the ones that do, like, okay, Tim got this. Well, I want what I got to do to go get
back
that.
To the elementary school example, the top 7 will get it, or the top 1 will get it. It's not nepotism. It's not I like you more. It's about everything else.
It's completely unbiased. There is no. It's a clear filter that everybody. This is what you need to do.
Right.
And I think there's so many. You can apply that to relationships. You know, I mean, I've been with my wife now for 13 years. I don't take any of those 13 years for granted. Every day I go, I'm going to be the best husband I could possibly be, and that will get me to tomorrow. And that's going to. And you know, I think I treat my friendships the same way. I treat everything that I do that way. Now, one thing my wife can't stand, she says everything's a competition to you. I go, you're absolutely right.
You know, I get
everything is a competition.
I get that same thing, not my wife, but in general. And I really try not to be competitive at all. But my brother laughs, but I really try not.
So you're trying to say if we're going to play Yahtzee, none of us are playing Yahtzee, you're not going to try to win?
I'm going to try.
Me too.
I know, but I don't want to be obnoxious about it.
No, me neither. You're a graceful loser, but I'm going to try. I mean, I've never played, but I'm going to try. I mean, that's just the way I'm wired. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you a quick question too, kind of not off topic, but one thing I've noticed about you just being around you the last 5, 6, 7 years or so is anything that you're doing, you're very present at. Like,
very present. Yeah, I always know that.
How is that? Like if you're here, you're here. It's like for me, I know sometimes I'll be thinking on my phone, I'm doing other things. Like I've never seen you. You have a company. I've never seen you been like, I got to take this call and walk outside.
Ever.
I've never seen
Great,
you
and that- yeah,
or at the dinner like go. I gotta go
Not
do something.
only is he here, if he's done or he's in between and he's waiting, he's the loudest cheer in the gym. He's cheering for somebody else.
Just generally, that's a unique.
That's
to me, it's
presence,
unique with presence.
And I actually
How
focus on that. I go to dinner, my
Right.
phone is put away. I am there with my friends. I'm here to have a conversation.
Like,
So when I see somebody on the phone, I actually give them a little bit of a look, like, really? You know, you can do that when we're not here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
here.
where did you develop that? Like growing up,
I-
obviously your job. I
I
mean,
can't give you that. I really don't know. I
kind
just
of feel like that's a lot of his generation, though. You know, they didn't grow up with technology like
and
that. Kind
it's
of
not even technology. It's just generally when you're engaged, you're engaged.
But you know, I think I'm going to agree with that. But you've never seen me in an environment where I'm not interested in either.
Mm.
You've only seen me in environments where I am interested. So if
Yeah,
you put me in an
sure.
environment that I'm not interested
might
in,
be
I'd
something
kind of be like, okay, you know, fuck, excuse me,
Yeah,
screw
that's
this. You know, so I tend to do things that I like to do, and I've had a very successful career, and I'm now to the point where 54 years old, and I got probably 20 years of good physical activity ahead of me. You know, hopefully, or more. But my goal is I do everything and have fun. Every day is fun for the next 20 years.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, on that note, we're going to end this podcast, episode 4. I'm pretty positive the next podcast, I swear, will be Hunter McIntyre. We actually talked to him. We got him going. And we will go more into the open a little bit, I'm sure, with Hunter and all of that. But before we get going, I want Bliss to tell you about his 2 companies real quick and where you can find them.
The first company, which is the real company, is Bliss Home Theaters and Automation. The website is blisshta.com. And my photography business is Images of Bliss. It's on Instagram as Images of Bliss. And if I can help you out in any way, let me know.
He's a hell of a photographer.
And he was just with Caitlyn Jenner the other day. I mean, his wife does her hair and her
Good friends.
partner's hair.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just got a very well connected, successful man.
Once again, guys, we filmed out of Precision CrossFit. Mike Tromello, Dan Tromello here. Check it out on Breaking Muscle when it comes out, probably real soon. Thanks a lot, guys.